Welcome back. Hong Kongers are looking ahead to sweetness in the budget, which the Financial Secretary will unveil tomorrow. Property rates could be overhauled. Johanna Chan reports.
It's that time of year again when homeowners look forward to some financial relief. Last year, there was a rates concession of $1,500 for each of the first 2 quarters and $1,000 each in the following 2. It is not known whether there will be more concessions this year, but sources say there may be an overhaul of the rating system. Finance Chief Paul Chan pledged last year to review the system and introduce a progressive element. Currently, there is a flat rate of 5% for all property in Hong Kong. The progressive rating system could include higher rates for property with a higher value and shifting the liability for rates payment from occupiers to the owner to reflect responsibility of the property. A finance and decision sciences academic says this could be good news for ordinary citizens.
Who has more ability to pay, who are not necessary to buy the property, can be distinguished. And then in that sense, it's more fair to the general citizen. And also this kind of a regime having a flexibility to change. If the government needs more revenue, and then the government can change the progressive rate and to fulfill the revenue needed.
Mac added whether government revenues increase will depend on the progressive rate authorities decide on. Johanna Chan, HKIBC.
HSBC's profit for last year more than doubled from 2020, but its shares opened lower in London and lost 3.6% in Hong Kong after missing expectations slightly and investors' concerns over Ukraine. Pre-tax profit at $18.9 billion for 2021 was up from $8.8 billion in the previous year. About 65% of its earnings came from Asia. An anticipated surge in COVID-induced bad loans did not happen, and the London-based lender expects an earnings boost as global interest rates increase. HSBC will buy back $1 billion worth of its shares. Its Hong Kong subsidiary Hang Seng Bank made almost 14 billion Hong Kong dollars last year, down 16% from 2020. HSBC says the city should be prepared for interest rate increases when the United States raises its rates.
The main source of debate, I think, in Hong Kong looking out is obviously, Hong Kong dollar is pegged to US dollars. Just how quickly, if we are seeing, and when we do see a rising US rate environment, how quickly that will translate into a rising HIBOR. I think if you go back over time, typically there's been about a 3-month lag period. I think given Omicron at the moment, that may elongate it out a bit, but we would certainly think, in the coming months, we'll start to see a very material recovery in HIBOR coming as well.
Inflation in Hong Kong has fallen after hitting a 19-month high in December. The government said domestic price pressures may be constrained because of COVID disruptions. Johanna Chan reports.
The Composite Consumer Price Index for January rose 1.2% from a year ago and was half the 2.4% recorded in the previous month. That was mainly because of a higher comparison base a year earlier. When government relief measures are netted out, underlying inflation was also 1.2%, down from the 19-month high set in December. Transport cost more in January, rising 6.4%. Clothing and footwear went up 6.1%, while food prices rose 2.8%, with meals out and takeaways accounting for much of the increase. But electricity, gas, and water bills dropped 2.4%. Housing was down 0.4% as private sector rents fell. A government spokesman said the figures might be distorted because the Lunar New Year was earlier this time. He added the 5th COVID wave has taken a heavy toll on economic activity and will likely constrain domestic price pressures. Johanna Chan, HKIBC.
The Hang Seng Index recorded its biggest one-day drop in 5 months as the crisis in Ukraine sent investors scurrying to dump stocks. Food delivery giant Meituan lost 5%, leading a decline in the tech sector on fears of another regulatory crackdown. Investors were nervous about financial stocks after state-owned firms and mainland banks were requested to check their exposure to the Ant Group. The city's main stock benchmark ended 2.7% lower. Now let's take a look at the markets. The Hang Seng Index ended the day down 650 points. To the top 10 active stocks, Tencent was down by 60 cents, Alibaba down $3.50, while HSBC ETF was down by $2.02. Hong Kong Exchanges and Clearing down $12.60, while JD.com was down $9.80. To the forex trading against the Hong Kong dollar, the euro's at 8.86, the pound sterling 10.58, and the Australian dollar at 5.63. Finally, in Europe, the London FTSE is currently up 27 points. The cold and tight anti-COVID curves did not stop couples flocking to marriage registries across the city today. They exchanged vows on a day which they felt was extra special. Isaac Lee reports.
It was a gloomy and chilly day, but not for these couples, who felt it was the perfect day to tie the knots. That's because today is February the 22nd, 2022, Tuesday. 7 number 2s on one single day. As a result, the Cotton Tree Drive Marriage Registry in Admiralty was much more crowded than usual. The rain provided the opportunity for grooms to show just how considerate they are. At another marriage registry in Tsim Sha Tsui, the temperature dropped to 11 degrees Celsius this morning.
我而家唔凍結婚咧嘅人心入面特別暖㗎。
But this woman, whose husband was too shy to talk to reporters, shrugged off the cold. It's probably because those who are going to get married feel especially warm, she explained. Another 2 was added into the mix. With strict social distancing measures in force, only 2 witnesses were allowed.
咁始終得2個證婚人，我覺得都係唔係好夠嘅。
This couple were disappointed as they wanted to invite more friends and relatives. But they felt lucky enough to be able to start a new journey in their life despite the pandemic. Isaac Lee, HKIBC.
On to the weather now. Brace for more chilly weather tomorrow with rain in the morning. Temperatures will range between 9 and 14 degrees. Stay warm on Thursday as the mercury will start picking up from Friday. Now let's take a look at the weather around the world. That's our main news on Tuesday night. Join us for more news at 11. I'm Raymond Yeung. Thanks for watching. Good night.